are there any sort of anecdotes that you can share about companies that you've worked with that are starting to make this shift, and maybe what some of the challenges that they're facing and maybe some of the challenges that they've overcome?
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. And I think there's the good thing is there's lots of examples, right? So I'll have to be
Sure.
tactical about which ones I pick here. But a lot of the ones that come to mind, and I'm going to start out kind of with some of the challenges because
Mm-hmm.
that's really the first piece in starting to kind of change or evolve the thinking of maybe how your program has been embedded for the past 10, 12, 15 years in your organization. The first and most difficult challenge, I think, within any organization when it comes to innovating or being entrepreneurial in the way that you iterate kind of on your different programs is a shift in risk culture. And to shift the culture of a program or to shift the culture of your organization's understanding of what your obligation as a risk or compliance function is can oftentimes be difficult to change. I see, with customers and clients that we have, the most successful are the ones who start with the difficult conversations first, right? To start to create the momentum to achieve institutional commitment over what could be a pretty meteoric change for the perspective of what a risk and compliance function is offering to their organization. There's elements of, right, there's human factor, there's training and hiring of perspectives that may not have been indicative of your typical risk or compliance analyst, right? Recruiting mindsets and recruiting technologists into risk and compliance functions can change and can quickly maneuver that function to think very differently. But you have to have institutional commitment and a shift in culture and the expectation of what those programs are trying to achieve. And so changing the culture of an organization is not easy to do, but it can be done across different programs. And a really good way to achieve kind of that culture shift is to prove it. And the way that you prove it in 2020 is through really good data, insight, analytics, and intelligence that, again, comes from information and data that these programs have likely already been collected. So thinking about how can we present and organize data differently? How can we capture data and information analytics real time rather than in some perspectives, right, annoying the first line of the revenue generating functions to collect data at a point in time. Let's inform those functions in real time with really good data analytics that not only gives them kind of that pulse check over where we may be facing some pervasive risks, but more so, have you thought of doing business this way or doing things more efficiently or approaching this process differently, which will mitigate more risk and allow you to move faster. And again, it's not easy to do, but it starts with that shift in culture and mindset of what your program is looking to enable in your organization. From there, we get into something I briefly touched upon, but shifting the ownership and accountability of the program outwards from what is typically the second line of defense, right? That risk and compliance function. Being able to actually put some ownership and accountability on the first line, right? Those revenue generating functions, which are closest to the processes and through that closest to your customers and clients, which you're delivering products and services to. Putting some ownership and accountability, using technology and using really good, efficient analytics actually makes it, dare I say, fun for the first line users to actually absorb and use that information to do things with a really different mindset and context than what they're used to doing. But being able to actually kind of transform that second line oversight to be a little bit more educational, a little bit more real time, and provide very valuable analytics is something we've seen our clients and customers be very successful with. When they start to engage the enterprise rather than just being the conduit for the nagging and bugging and collection and sitting down for walkthroughs and doing the same thing year after year, it's engaging in being, again, to the example earlier, a business partner. Be a partner to your first line and start to engage your enterprise and make it a collective exercise, which again helps to inform culture shift when it just becomes a day or a part of their daily activities. But we've seen our customers and clients be incredibly successful through technology by engaging their enterprise, right? Extending their information foundation, the collection of data to users who aren't typically engaged in that process, on a day-to-day basis. So, using that as a conduit to engage your enterprise and get everybody accountable and everybody informed, right? Then has kind of everybody has skin on the table and everybody is engaged in the process of, right, performing or generating revenue and serving clients and customers, but doing that with a very specific risk or compliance-based perspective. So those are kind of the first two challenges, but successes we've seen with clients who are able to shift some culture, get institutional commitment, and start to engage the enterprise more broadly, kind of through that hub and spoke model. is incredibly successful. I think beyond that, our most successful clients and customers are those who approach that concept of breaking down silos at full speed, right? Starting to integrate, we think of operational risk with programs that may sit in areas like business continuity or disaster recovery. Right? We think of operational risk, it always has been and probably will continue to be more of a proactive perspective of what decisions do we need to make? Where do we need to make very specific investment decisions or shift our business posture so that we can mitigate the impact of a potential event? But if you're able to link those perspectives with those programs which are historically reactive, right, when an event does occur, how do we enable the right processes, people, and contingencies to continue delivering, right, continue our operations efficiently? Starting to merge those perspectives in our customers and clients who start to see the connections of data and information and analytics across those programs, right? Those become very powerful connections to make, and connections that are absolutely vital to bringing operational risk or even continuity programs, right, more future thinking or forward looking, because they're sharing perspectives and data and informing, right? Left hand is informing the right and understanding what is our capacity to mitigate impact, but also what is our capacity to get up when we fall down, and how quickly can we get up, and where can we be very agile and maybe take on more risk proactively because we understand we have a really good capacity to stand up if we do get hit. So really that from a data perspective, the merging and breaking down of silos is incredibly powerful. And we have lots of clients and customers who have had the tough conversations first, maintained alignment and buy-in from their organization, and started to connect those dots very readily, and their programs have evolved rapidly by doing so. And so that integration of data and information across programs becomes incredibly powerful and allows you to move faster and think with a more innovative mindset, because you're not only just connecting data and information, but you're connecting people, and you're having conversations, and the stakeholders are understanding the positioning of risk and compliance and understanding their ability to respond in single conversations rather than through backtracking or backing into an understanding. And so the linking of that data and information becomes incredibly powerful. We have lots of clients and customers across many different industries, whether it's retail or pharmaceuticals or financial services, who are approaching that at full speed. And we've seen a lot of success with that. So that's probably the most tangible example that is happening today and continues to happen, that allows you to approach a more forward-looking kind of mindset of both program areas a little bit more rapidly.
Yeah, and that really reminds me of a point that was made in the McKinsey article, is that, this alignment and this focus on analytics is not unique to operational risk and resilience, right? I mean, these are shifts that have happened in product development. These are shifts that have happened in sales and marketing, and the way that those teams communicate and use data and analytics. So when it comes to gaining buy-in at the executive level, these aren't foreign concepts, right? To your point, you really just need to demonstrate how greater analytics, a greater focus on technology, and breaking down silos between these sort of disparate disciplines contributes to business value, right? Even in times of stress like COVID or during the financial crisis, organizations are willing to make investments in programs that show that they can hit that pedal a little bit faster and feel comfortable that they're going to accomplish that objective just a little bit faster. And so I think making that correlation between what other parts of the business are doing and how operational risk organizations can contribute similar value is probably pretty key to getting that buy-in for the program, right? And getting the buy-in for whatever type of technology you're looking to invest in to provide you with those predictive analytics.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the underpinning piece of operational risk that is so unique is that it's involved in your operations large scale. So to your point, that includes things like product design or technology groups, or those which manage physical security or cybersecurity or any part of your infrastructure or your supply chain, right? They are all supported by the capacity of your ability to operate, right? Processes, people, and technology. Right. And so by having an integrated or forward-looking kind of perspective of your operational risk landscape, what it does at its baseline is it allows you to avoid large-scale operational risk issues that may disrupt you from being able to operate. And so to be able to create a perspective of an operational risk group as really a central and pervasive pinpoint for your understanding of not only your business, but how to avoid risk impact that is going to stop or completely disrupt your ability to operate, right, is a key cog to any process that you're employing across your organization. And it's that two-factor side of risk. Yes, risk is absolutely a threat, but it is 100% an opportunity for your organization to approach and be a differentiator competitively and move faster and create new products and deliver business and business services or products differently or change the game if you have a really good understanding of where you maybe need to tread carefully and where you can proceed at full speed. And the only way you can do that, again, is by integrating the perspectives of your operational risk landscape cross-functionally, enterprise-wide. And again, you can only do that with a prove it mentality, which is proven through good data and analytics and really good information that is presented with a purpose, right? That purpose being things like enterprise objectives. Here's this great data and perspective and risk context. I'm giving this to you because you care about this, because I understand your objectives and I'm thinking about the business overall, where we're headed, how fast we can move, where there's opportunity, where we need to pump the brakes. And so creating good data and good intelligence with a focus to very specific stakeholders that, again, at the end of the day, is always focused on your business and what you're trying to achieve. As soon as you create that narrative and start to link that perspective, your operational risk program is going to become a center point of your organization. It is going to become a go-to conduit for when senior and board level stakeholders need good information and data. They need to understand what the risk landscape is when they're trying to move your business kind of to another area.
I think that's a great point to end on here. Alex, thank you so much for hopping on this morning. I know we're a little bit over time, but fantastic conversation. I feel like we could do another 2 or 3 of these with you in the series. Maybe next time we'll focus on the vendor risk landscape and how third parties really contribute to our risk profile. I know that's been a really popular topic for you, and you've been on the webinar and speaking circuit about it recently this year. So we'll look forward to that next conversation. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jonathan. It was a pleasure.